It's daybreak here on Arise News, and it's time for the press preview. First look at what's on the front pages. We start with our sister publication, This Day newspaper. On its front page, its headline reads, "At NBA conference, Atiku, Obi, Shettima, Decry state of Nigeria, Proffer solutions." It has three riders there. PDP presidential candidate pledges to unveil draft constitutional amendments on day one. LP presidential candidate says 2023 election not about tribe, religion, but about competence. An APC VP candidate, Shettima, will create Lagos experience all over the country. There, of course, you see the picture at the NBA conference. And then let's look at the orange strip above the headline. Police assassination plot against ex-speaker Dogara true, says a suspect has confessed to plan. Disclose further investigation ongoing. And let's look at the top mast and see what it has there. It says lawmakers knock TCN over inability to explain power generation. They are summoning the MD to appear before them. Alleged three persons committed Nigerians to $33 million monthly payment for a Zara power deal.
The Punch newspaper this morning. Leading headline, insecurity/economic crisis, Atiku Obi slammed the federal government. Shettima sells Tinubu's candidacy. More of that on page 2. That leading photos there of some of the attendees and presidential candidates at the NBA conference yesterday in Lagos. Below that, building collapse, Lagos others probe police arrest engineer, and above the nameplate of the Punch this morning, ASU NEC decides on strike Sunday.
This is The Nation. It says Tinubu Atiku Obi roll out plans on economy and security. And the former governor of Kano State, Shekarau, has revealed the reason he dumped the NNPP. Pick up The Nation, and you can read on page 4. Scores of militants killed as Nigeria's Air Force jets hit ISWAP's camp in Sambisa.
Let's look at the Tribune. Its headline reads, Atiku, Shettima, Obi, X-ray Nigeria's problems, Proffer solutions. It has three riders there. Atiku unveils plans for phased devolution of power to federating units. Tinubu's government will replicate Borno, Lagos wonders. That's from Shettima. 2023 election should not be based on religion, tribe, but character, competence. That's coming from Obi, the candidate of the LP.
Some international papers, The Independent, two headlines there. Time to see the next generation shine. The Lionesses record goal scorer and Euro 2020 winner Ellen White announced her retirement yesterday. And just below that, warning inflation will spike to 18% next year. Forecast predicts highest rate in almost half a century. And for the press preview, let's bring in Emmanuel Bello, who joins us from our offsite studio. Emmanuel, good morning. Thanks for joining us. Let's take a look at this day and really what everyone is talking about, the NBA conference yesterday. Atiku Obi, Shettima, Decry state of Nigeria, Proffer solutions. There's so many angles to this story. What the presidential candidates were saying about the 2023 election and what they'll do. Why the APC had their vice presidential candidate in attendance instead of the presidential candidate Tinubu in an event that everyone sees as an opportunity, a first opportunity for all the top contenders to sell their candidacy to Nigerians. They sent in the vice presidential candidates. Let's begin with that angle of the story.
Yeah, well, good morning, Nkechi, and Kenneth, Indy, good morning. Yes, you're right, Nkechi. Yesterday's event was an opportunity for Nigerians to, critically look at those candidates. So it's all the papers are leading with the stories, and you're right. There are many angles to the story, and it is not just about what they said, but it's even how they looked. because yesterday there was a media buzz, or the social media buzz, on the appearances, especially that of Shettima, who represented Tinubu. But you're right, it was an opportunity for these candidates to talk about what they have for the country. And this is where it's very important that people begin to listen very carefully to this candidate. Because like Atiku said, this election is not just about, it's about our existence as a people, about our survival. So it's important to just listen to them beyond emotion, to hear what they have, what their plans are, what their programs are, and not just to listen to them, but to actually fact check on their claims and to look at what they're profiling, because we're looking for solutions. We have serious problems, and it's time for very serious problems. So these candidates were there. So there were the side talks too, like Nkechi, you were noting now on their reception, how they were received, how they projected themselves. But by and large, for those of us who, for everyone that is worried about the problems of this country, you'll be more concerned about what they said and how they put them. And we must go beyond that to check what they're saying. For instance, Obi was saying that it's about competence, it's about character, it's about capacity, that whoever is going to be president, we have to have all of that. But if you listen to Atiku was a bit more, he dwelled on that also, but also went through the crisis of the country and trying to look at what looks like solution and talking about them, especially the fact that he said on day one he will do something about the constitution. So how much of our problem is tied to the problem of our constitution, to the issue of devolution of power, the issue of unity? He's called himself a unifier. He's looking at that problem from that perspective. Shettima was looking at records, saying that Tinubu record and his record is enough to deal with the problem at hand. These are the sort of things that I think Nigerians will be looking out for. Who has the solution? Who is saying the right thing, and not just saying the right thing, but actually ready, who has the political will to do all this. So that NBA conference afforded us the opportunity to look at this candidate critically. And I think going forward, that's going to be the issue, that people will be fact-checking on them, watching them closely, what they say, how they say it, and to some extent even how they are perceived or how they are received in such occasions.
Emmanuel, we didn't get to hear from the NNPP presidential candidate, and now the Nation newspaper is revealing that the former governor, Ibrahim Shekarau, has dumped the party. Kwankwasia bridges falling down?
Well, the Kwankwasia movement, yes, largely, it's actually largely remained a Kano affair, and even within the Kano power block, we're beginning to see, like you say, this falling apart. Yesterday, NBA conference is just one in the many opportunities that these gentlemen are going to have going forward to talk. I suspect that they are going to try to use every forum to be able to regale us with their plans and policies. So maybe there's yet another day for Rabiu Kwankwaso to actually outline what he thinks about how he thinks he's going to deal with problem. Because basically that's what we're going to be listening to. We're going to be listening to ideas. But yes, back to the story in the nation, the crisis between Shekarau and Kwankwaso. He said that the man turned his back. And so in a presidential era, for someone like Shekarau to say that Kwankwaso can't even keep to his words, that's already a negative campaign on its own, I guess. And it's not good for the Kwankwaso himself. He's with what Shekarau is essentially saying is that Kwankwaso can be trusted, basically even within the party, to keep those promises. We are going to hear from Kwankwaso, of course, on the side of the story. But Shekarau is out there now telling his own side of the story, saying that Kwankwaso has reneged on all their plans and all their promises and all the agreements.
All right, let's look at the nation. Three stories are interesting here. The first one is cause of militants killed as NAF jets hit ISWAP's camp in Sambisa. And just by that, you see FCC chief, tribunal grants Oyetola APC access to poll materials. And then just below the headline, no work, no pay rule, NLC backs ASU on salary arrears. I hope that he understands that the law says that no work, no pay. Emmanuel, what's your take on those three stories?
India, I think the one that will capture everyone's attention, probably because of its currency too, and the fact that that's a very serious issue, is the issue of the war on terror, and how we're prosecuting it. Is the sort of thing that many of us, who are not military strategists, will always love to hear, that those planes are, going to this forest and, attacking those places. The sort of thing that we always think should happen, because you hear about these big jets that are bought, those are fighter jets that we buy with huge amounts of money. So you begin to ask, when are they going to go into action? So a story like this tells you, is the military trying to reassure the people, the populace that, look, those jets are not just lying down somewhere, but they're actually doing what they're supposed to do, flying over those forests, bombarding those places, and actually, dealing with the bad guys. Then the other story is ASU too. I think a lot of people will be interested in that. Throughout this week, it's been an ASU story, the crisis of ASU, especially the no work, no pay situation. ASU saying that, look, if you don't pay us, we're not going to work. With some people saying that, look, it's not just fair. You didn't work for those days. Why should you be paid? And now in you are adding another line to it, that the Constitution actually says that if you don't work, you don't get pay. But you see, it's the overall thing is that a lot of people are beginning to even talk to ASU that, look, why not? Government even actually also begging ASU that, why not just think about this? Why not think about the future of these kids that you are students, and go back to the classes? So go back to work. So that seems to be the appeal now that ASU is getting. Of course, NLC is backing it on the no work, no pay thing. But the new kind of voices we're hearing now is asking ASU to just reconsider its stance on, probably merciful grounds, and go back to work.
Emmanuel, on this day newspaper, just above the nameplate, the House of Representatives Committee on Finance is knocking the transmission company of Nigeria over its inability to explain the megawatts of electricity being generated by power generation companies, particularly the Azura Power Company. Now, it's alleging 3 persons committed Nigerians to $33 million monthly payment for Azura Power deal. Have you been following this story?
Yes, in the way that all of us are following, the developments in the power sector, and this story today, it's a very disturbing one. In fact, we're getting to get insight into who is getting what and who is not doing what. I mean, $33 million every month going to one of the gencos, one of the generating companies, and for what? We're paying all that kind of money, and then we're not generating anything. So you can see the passion with which the lawmakers were talking. They were really, really vexed with the issue, especially that the MD, the TCN, Transmission Company of Kenya, the MD did not even show up for those hearings. And is the crisis, the deepening of this crisis, or the depth of it, that sometimes even the people involved or who are supposed to be answerable to Nigerians don't even show up for such hearings. The MD was not there. He went to see the minister. So, but the story itself reveals to you the crisis of, on one hand, the huge amount paid to these companies, and of course, the fact that we're not even getting value for the money paid. We are practically paying for darkness.
We're grateful for your take this morning, Emmanuel. That's the press preview.